Okay, so very good morning to you, Mr. Dilantha.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Sri Lanka. Obviously, you're spending a lot of time in Malaysia now with your racing school. So thank you for taking this time with us to answer a few questions.
Okay.
First of all, not many people realize that you started your racing career on 2 wheels, not 4.
Yeah.
So what really spurred that on?
What happened was when I started racing bikes in Japan, one reason was I had too many accidents, and then because I had to fund myself, and then staying in hospital for long was too difficult. So I thought I couldn't stop racing, so I thought of changing into cars. But there was another thing here, because when we were racing in Sri Lanka as motorcycle riders, there was a lot of discrimination for riders among the drivers. So I thought of taking it a challenge, and one fine day I drove my road use car, which I bought from Japan. I was using it for my road use, so I used it in a race to show the drivers that the riders are also good in driving. So, and I think I won the race, and they disqualified me with a lot of problems. So then it inspired me, and then I thought I should become a driver too. And then, as I told you, in Japan, because of my accidents with bike racing, which kept me in the hospital for long, and then I thought after racing here, then I thought it's a good move. So I went to one of the circuits in Japan for a test day with my road car. I had a BMW M3, and then I was chasing the race cars, and then one guy who was the organizer of that event said, he said, why don't you get into racing cars, because I think you still have the talent with cars too. So that was a few reasons I had.
So what spurred you on to pursue racing, like when you were younger or something like that?
Honestly, I could ride and drive cars when I was about 7, 8, 9, but that was just fun of it. But when I was 14 years, I saw a movie called Silver Dream Racer. So that inspired me, and then I thought, oh, this is so cool, so being a racing rider. So I think that was the main thing to start. Thinking of becoming a racing rider. So from that day onwards, the next day I had posters on my bedroom with motorcycles and all that. So I think that was a change.
So what are some of the problems you faced when you were just starting out?
In motorcycles?
Yeah.
Actually, when I started, because my first race was when I was 16 on my road bike in the CB50, and I won the race. I had no problem, but my father and mother was against it, but my 2 sisters always supported. And after I won my first race in the 50cc, so I was bothering my father to buy me a race bike, but which I think was too early. I just started with the 50cc, but then with my sisters bothering him so much, and then he bought me a TZ350. That was the only race bike available at that time, so I bought it from Mr. Chandra Di Costa in 1980, which was a 1973 bike. So from a 50cc I went straight to a TZ350. Wow. And in the first race I finished third, because I didn't know how to start it, because it was too big bike and I was too small. But then I won. I finished third in the first race. In the second race, I think Dallas was leading. We were having a fight, and so I have been beaten. I was close to overtake him, and then I had a big accident in Kurnagar road race, so which I had a big fracture on my leg. So then again my father said no racing. So that was start of it. Yeah.
Your first international race was in 1983, I believe.
Yes, 1983 in Madras, and then in Calcutta. That was my first international race.
How did that compare to the racing in Sri Lanka?
Actually, you can compare, because in 83, although it was, years before, Sri Lankans used to go and win all the races in India, because they didn't have the machines, and they were using their own products, to race against the bikes that we had. Sri Lanka was far ahead of everyone at that time. But when I went, that was the first international event, and we had riders from all over the world, and all champions from all over the world. And it was in 83, but I rode the same 1973 bike there. So everyone took me, they were crazy, they were all thinking I'm crazy to bring a 10-year-old bike. But there was this Japanese rider who really got friendly with me, and that's what made me to go to Japan.
Right. So what happened in Japan then?
Okay. So in 1985, I wanted to go to Japan. I asked my father's permission. He said no. So I ran away. I had a one-way ticket, and I had $400 in my hand. And then the Japanese gentleman whom I met in 1983, actually he's the one who told me that I should come to Japan. I didn't know anything about Japan, so I was thinking of going to Europe or to States to do racing. But after I met him, he was so kind, and he taught me a lot of things, and I thought Japan might be a good place. So I lost his contact. So anyway, as I told you, I had a one-way ticket and $400 went there. Then worked for 2 years. Then bought my first race bike. So I started racing from 1987.
Wow. So Japan was sort of a turning point for you in racing.
Yes, big time. Yeah.
So then, what are the successes you've had since then?
Oh, I won many races, and then in 1995, I think 1995, yes, I won the Japanese N1 Championship in a BMW M3, and so I started from a Suzuki Caldas and a Corolla as one make, and by 1997 I became the first non-Japanese Asian to do Formula Nippon, which is as close as to Formula 1. And 97, 98 I did the Formula Nippon, then I moved to GTs. Because from Formula Nippon the next step is Formula 1. But even to do Formula Nippon, it was so difficult to find sponsors, so I could have gone to Formula 1 if I had enough sponsors, but it was not, I knew it's not going to happen, so the best thing was to move to GTs.
Right. Do you have a particular race win or even a loss that stands out in your mind?
Wins, of course, yeah. I think when I won the GT Asia Championship, halfway through I was using a Porsche, which was about 100 horsepower less than others. But so then I got the Lambo, and I knew we had only about 3 races to win the championship, but I was far behind. So I knew I had to win all 3, plus the guy who was leading had to DNF. So what happened was the first 2 races I won. The last race I was leading, he was second, so I knew no way I could win the championship because he was second, he will get points. But then there was a spin, there was an accident, so the yellow flags came up, so there was a safety car and no overtaking. So I slowed down, and the guy who was behind me, he thought I had a technical problem. He didn't watch the flags, and he overtook me, and he just went on, and because normally if it's a yellow flag, he should let me go again. He didn't, because he was all considered only was winning the race, beating me, but he forgot it was a yellow flag, So, and then he was black flag, but he couldn't even see the black flag because I did a trick, to be very honest with you. So I was just keeping behind, but I didn't overtake him. So I was giving pressure. So he forgot at looking any of the flags, and he was disqualified. I won the championship.
Wow.
That's the best part of it. But the 2 other thing is, 2 times I won the Asian Aston Martin Championship. Also last year, GT Asia Championship, I was to win. Then I was disqualified from a race for no reasons. They said I had a contact, which I think is what they did was bad. So that because of that, I lost the championship. So I had to finish second. Same Aston Martin, I was leading with a lot of points, and they disqualified me for 2 races for no reason, and that I lost the Aston Martin Championship, still with only few points, and I was the first runner-up. So those things are really bad because if I had done something wrong, it's good, but as you know, there's always discrimination and politics everywhere.
Yeah. So do you get any support from any local bodies?
No, honestly, because as you see, there's a motorsports federation, there's a Ministry of Motorsport, sports, and also I think the most is gained by Ministry of Tourism, means because I carry the Sri Lanka flag, and I always say visit Sri Lanka. So, but only when Mr. Milinda Moragada was the Minister of Tourism, actually he appointed me as a tourism ambassador, and he was willing to support me. And actually, when Mr. S.B. Disanak was the Minister of Sports, he really wanted to help me, and a few times he helped me, and after that there was nothing. But I think the present minister has promised that he's going to help me. I don't know, but I can't keep pushing. But honestly, there are 2 people who really help me right now. Is Minister Dallas Alahaperma, who he's not his portfolio. He's not the Minister of Sport, but he helps me a lot because he loves the country, and he knows what I'm doing. And then the other person is His Excellency the President. He helps me a lot. When I cannot go and ask for too many favors, but if I ask, he always helps. But I have never asked him to sponsor me. But as you see, even when I got my Lamborghini as a present for winning the GT Asia Championship, when I just went and told me, he said, for you anytime, and he just approved it. And I feel not good to go and ask him for sponsorships, because with all the issues he has in the country. But honestly, these two people, they really helped me. So I really respect Mr. Dilantha Malagamuwa and Honorable Dilantha Malagamuwa and His Excellency.
What's your opinion on the local racing scene? Can it be improved, or are we on track?
I don't think so. We are not on track. I mean, it's been going on forever and ever, but if you see, the levels are still the same, So I mean, one good example was last year's Colombo Road Race. You should have seen us doing the GT race, and I've seen many drivers, they still don't even know how to do a hill and toe. They don't know about setting up a car. So if you see, we are always doing the same thing on the same way, except for I have seen really good drivers like Ashan De Silva and Pasindu, and I think like Romani. They are good drivers, but still the level is very, very low comparing to other Asian countries. But I think you all know that Sri Lanka was one of the pioneers to start, in racing. But I think it's the organizers don't know what they're doing, and the clubs. So our level is always the same. It will never go up if they're going to do this way. So even the drivers, most of them think that it's a machine. It's not the machine, So you have to learn a lot, on driving. So I don't think they are still into it. But it's sad. But our levels are very low compared to other Asian countries. I think the lowest now.
So with that in mind, we've had a lot of talk about perhaps a Formula 1 track or even 2 Formula 1 tracks in Sri Lanka. Do you think that's viable?
I don't think so. As you know how much it's going to cost to build a Formula 1 track, and then we have to pay for the rights and all that. We don't need a Formula 1 track, We can build. The Colombo Night Race is more than enough for us. If like Monaco, Macau, Singapore, they run a road race once a year. We have other circuits, but if we want to get the international coverage, I think Colombo Night Race would be the best, and I think it will be very popular in the world very soon. Even with the first race we had, we got so much of publicity, and all the other drivers who couldn't come with me, they said, the next year, please invite us. We all want to come, because it's fascinating. Like these, mainly the spectators, it was lovely. The feeling was so good.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there too. It was an amazing experience to see the cars come down. So you mentioned about the Colombo Night Race. That'll be happening again this year?
Yeah, it's going to happen on the 14th and 15th, and CSN is doing it, and I think because Mr. Yoshita Rajpaksa is personally attending to it, so it's going to be, in last year they were going to have it within 3 months, and everyone said it's not possible. But he was, he's a person who wants to go forward and do things, so there was so much criticism, but I think it's not good, because being such a small, he's still young, so he had the real guts to go and do it. And last year was a big success with all the problems we had with short time. And this year I think it will be a lovely event, and we will get, like as I said to you, Monaco, Macau, all this, they spend millions and millions, that's to give publicity for the country. But I think the Colombo race, I don't think they spend even 1/10 of that price, the cost, and still we got more publicity. So as I said, so we don't have to spend so much money, and then we can get more publicity.
So what are the new additions we can expect at this year's night race?
So we are going to have the GT3, but we'll have 24 cars. Wow. So it'll be like Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, Fords, you name it, everything will be the Aston Martins.
So where do you plan to go, in the international racing scene?
I have won Asian Championships. The only thing is, when you say Asian Championships, it's not restricted to Asians. When you say, because why the name is at Asian Championships is because we run in Asia, not like other sports. So it's not restricted to Asians. So we have drivers from all over the world. So I won few times. So now my next aim is to go for the FIA GT3 World Championship, which I'm planning to do next year or year after. And so I want to clean the World Championship.
Wow, ambitious goals. I'm sure you can achieve them. Yes. What about your racing school in Malaysia?
Yes, I was invited by Dr. Mahathir's son, the former Prime Minister's son, who is the chairman of the circuit, Japan International Circuit. So they asked me to come and run the race school for them. So I was living in Japan, so I thought this is a lovely opportunity, because like in Japan I could hardly go and test because it costs so much money. So being based at the circuit would be the best for me, because I get so much of track time. So in 2009 I moved to Malaysia and I took over the circuit. So it's really good, because I started teaching the professionals for fine tuning, but now we are doing it for the amateurs, beginners, everyone. So the good thing is when I teach, I learn a lot.
So, have you ever considered re-entering the local racing scene?
I would love to if I have time, as you know, because when we start the season, it's so many races every other week, and then I have to run the race school, plus I have to attend to my other personal things. I would love to come and race, so whenever I get the chance. But Colombo Night Races is a must. I will definitely race there. So yeah, and I would love to. Whenever I have time, I will get back to the local scene. Yeah.
We have a lot of young racing drivers here, and up and coming, budding ones, maybe starting in go-karting. What's your advice to them?
Actually, I think that will be the best thing for Sri Lanka going to happen, because like these young drivers, they don't just come and drive, they learn, they have all the computer software, so they know everything what they do. So there's a young boy who always chats to me, he's 12 years, is Kyle. Yeah, so they're very knowledgeable, so when they come to that standard, they will be knowing, the technical part of it. To be a good driver, you have to know the technical part of it, setting up a car. So I think when you think about like that age, 12, 13, the youngsters, if you can bring them up, I think we can have some champions again. So I'm trying to, to invite, that is still too small to get into a four-wheel. But when time comes, I will take them and voluntarily I'll help them to build themselves, and then, but I think still, like as I told you, Ashan and a few young guys, we still can take them to the international levels. But only thing is, as I told you, in motorsports, there's a lot of money involvement, and then I still work about 18-20 hours a day trying to find my own funds, because I don't get the support from the private sector in Sri Lanka, hopefully. But the thing is, as I tell you, our races are televised in about 120 countries, and we have 237 million viewers. Wow. And every time I'm leading a race, they get visit Sri Lanka publicity. So my main sponsors are from Singapore, Azimuth, the watchmaker, and then I have like SATA, Reax, and all that, none from Sri Lanka. So it's all, they're generous and good enough, because if you see, the main part of my car is a Sri Lankan flag, but they being a Singaporean and Malaysian and Singaporean based Swiss companies, still they're willing to sponsor me. So the government should write to them and thank personally, because they are getting publicity out of them. So as I told you, I think like the tourism ministry and even the sports ministry, I don't know, because compared to other sports, like all the rich people, it's a sport of rich people, it's not like other sports, so it costs a lot of money. And then a country like Sri Lanka, where no one knows about Sri Lanka, and we are going and competing with them, and we are winning, so I still can't understand why the private sector, or they cannot support, and they don't take the mileage, so that's why you can see the difference. All the big Malaysians, Singaporeans, they know the value of it, and they take the mileage, so unfortunately this is so I don't want to criticize, but I'm just taking it's give and take, kind of win-win for everyone, and then they should use me. But they don't have the knowledge to use me, so what can I say?
So I saw the beautiful Lamborghini parked outside. Can you tell us a bit more about this?
Okay, that I got for winning the Asian GT Championship and the Malaysian GT. So when I got it, I didn't want to sell it, because there's a value in it. So then others could have sold it and taken the money, and I thought it'll be lovely to have a Lamborghini in Sri Lanka, on the road. So it's good for the country too, like people are amazed. So I got an appointment to go and see His Excellency the President, and when I went and mentioned, he said immediately, he said okay. So he was so good enough to do that. I won't have money to pay the duty and bring it here, so without his support I couldn't have brought that car. It's a Gallardo, same as the one I race, and it's a two-wheel drive, same engine, but it's a road car.
How does it compare to the race machine?
Actually, the power is almost there, but it's the weight and different things, suspension weight, but it's very close.
So what about the roads here? Is it really suitable for the roads? Do you have to plan your journey, beforehand, or?
Depend if there's a lot of, you cannot go on a gravel road and things, but bumpy roads. But, I use my Porsche for about 4 years now in Sri Lanka. I travel a lot of the places. It's good. So I think the Lamborghini is okay. Still haven't tried out, but as you know, the roads are better outside Colombo than in Colombo. So when I have time, I might take a drive somewhere.
Cool. So thank you very much for spending time with us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Yeah. The last thing I want to say is the Sri Lankan media has given me the best support throughout my career, and also the fans, the local fans, like through the Facebook and emails, everyone wishes me before a race, and when I see it, it's lovely, so I must thank them.
Definitely, yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.